post this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway and let you decide for yourselves. This is a very old video of me. If people ask me when I started stand-up, I will say to them that I started in early 2000, but that's not true. I dabbled in 1997. I did a handful of gigs. I was very young and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was still trying to link the jokes together and I hadn't really figured out anything from anything. After my third gig, which was a little tiny club in North London called the Buccaneer, a woman called Kate Copstick came up to me and offered me a spot on a TV programme called The Warehouse, which was a sort of London TV programme, or Carlton or whatever it was, a late night sort of post-pub programme. People who'd never been on telly before, bands who'd never been on telly before, comics who'd never been on telly before, that sort of thing. So I went and did that. I did that as my 7th ever gig, which was way too soon. I didn't know enough to sort of say no to it, really. And that's what this video is. So it's very raw, but there's a few things in there. There's one joke in there that I later rewrote and used for years. There's, well, you know, it's a curiosity. Have a look at it. And if you want to see a much older and a version of this man who knows what he's doing and has finally learnt who he is as a comic, then come along to this tour now, GaryDelaney.com, yada, yada, yada. But there you go. But basically, what I'm saying is, feel free to take the piss out of me on this, because I'm well aware of what it is, but I'm a lot better now. All right, ta-da.
That's better. Unfortunately, those enjoyment levels are set to rise again because the next act is one of the funniest new acts on the comedy circuit. We found him up north at the Buccaneer Comedy Club, whisked him down here to the east. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Delaney!
Ladies and gentlemen, come with me and imagine a world without laughter. Thank you very much. I went to a charity shop today, got a great bargain. 2 charities for £1. What a bargain. I met a man there who reminded me of my dad. He came up to me and said, "Don't forget your dad." I bought the video of the film Twister and it was great, fantastic, I loved it. In fact, I liked it so much, I bought the board game. Completely different. But I tell you what I hate. What I hate are the hack phrases of the comedy circuit, tired cliches you've heard 1,000 times from 1,000 comics because they're too lazy to write their own original setup for a joke. You know. And this upsets me. Speaking of being upset, I've just split up with my girlfriend. Very sad. Just split up with my girlfriend of 3 years. Some people thought that was a bit too young. As a last-ditch effort to save our relationship, she suggested that we spice up our sex life by trying some role-playing in the bedroom. And I thought it worked very well. I'm now a 10th level wizard. But it wasn't enough to save our relationship, so it ended, and I set out on a quest to find for myself the perfect woman. And I met her at one of those new Latin bars, and we were talking. Ecce romane, salvete discipile, subito lupus ululawit. I could tell that she was impressed. And we both liked the same people and the same things. We both had the same favourite Beatle, Herbie. And then I asked her that one question that I really wanted to know the answer to. I said, "So, do you file your CDs alphabetically?" And she said, "Well, how could you know that? That's amazing. Yes, I do. I do file my CDs alphabetically." And I said, "Oh, what about when you got more than one by the same band? In that subsection, do you file them chronologically?" And she said, "Well, spooky. How do you know that?" "Yes, I do. When I've got more than one by the same band in that subsection, I file them chronologically." I said, "Oh, so what do you do with CD singles? Are they in with the main band section or are they separate?" And she goes, "Well, typically they'd be separate. But if they mark a distinctive phase in that band's artistic development, then they'd be in the main section chronologically." I said, "Oh, so what do you do with remixes? Do you file them by the remixer or the remixee?" And she said, "Well, clearly there can be no hard and fast rules when it comes to remixes. I personally file them by whoever I feel had the greatest creative input into the final finished product." I said, "Oh, so what do you do with compilation albums?" And she goes, "What, various artists or a greatest hits package?" "Various artists, well, that'd be under V for various, wouldn't it?" I said, "And a greatest hits package, would that be in the main band section, chronologically, filed by the release date of the first track on that album?" And she said that'd be in the main band section, chronologically, but filed by the release date of the compilation album itself. You see, sometimes you just know when it's never going to work out between two people, don't you? So, does anyone here have any characteristics I can use as a link to the next joke? No? Good. Well, I'll finish up by talking about my family instead, then. You see, my mother struggled to bring me up. With my sister, she had a caesarean, which was far more sensible. My mother was very easily upset, my mum, because she had a huge head, tiny, tiny little feet. My father, on the other hand, he was exactly the opposite. He was impossible to upset for long because he was actually a weeble. But my dad taught me a lot. He taught me that pornography was an insidious and an evil thing because if a man uses pornography for long enough, eventually it starts to affect his whole attitude towards slags. That's all from me. Thanks. Good night.
Delaney, you know all that stuff about the CDs? That's me. How did he know?